It's always a privilege to be able to be with a group of people interested in working with their condition, working with their emotions and their mind, and trying to be a little bit more sane and balanced in this life. So it's a privilege to be here with all of you. And I think that there's about 3 components. We have an hour together or so. There's a little bit of meditation practice, a guided sitting practice, and a short talk, and then a chance for just open dialogue, questions and answers, stories, whatever you would like. So I thought it would be nice to start with sitting, so we have some kind of a transition from, I'm sure you're very busy in your lives and have a lot going on, so sometimes it takes a while to get grounded a little bit more. Can you hear me okay? Yeah, sometimes I talk softly. Yeah. Okay, so I'll ring the gong and I'll give some general guidelines. I'm sure you've heard different voices and different ways of talking about meditation. It's interesting because it's so simple and basic, but then there's many, many subtleties in different ways that people might express it. Some may touch you more than others, but so it's good that you have a variety of teachers you get to hear from if you come to these weekly sessions. So off we go. Why ring a bell? You ring a bell, as the bell rings, you can just let your mind, let the sound just come into your head. Just let the sound be without grasping it or trying to get rid of it. And use the sound as a kind of reminder that when you start practice, you should always go slowly, methodically, not rushing in any way. We do enough rushing. You don't have to rush when you practice. So it's important when you're doing meditation practice to start with the physical, coming back into your body. And the image traditionally given is you feel as though you're a mountain. You're steady, you're stable, you have a certain equanimity, and you're rooted into the earth. There's a sense of balance. So meditation sometimes is presented as kind of a mental game, but actually it's very physical as well. So the posture is important. Doesn't matter if you sit on a cushion or a chair, that doesn't matter. But there should be a sense of ease, a sense of relaxation, sense of settling. You might notice if there's a tendency to kind of perch or take off or kind of gear up for whatever's next, and you can just like cut that, come back. Feeling of the body on the chair, on the cushion, and notice if you feel balanced right or left. Notice there's tension in your body, and take some time, just settle. Have a sense of feeling, settled down, slowed, simplified, settled. You have nothing to do other than to be present with whatever is arising in your immediate experience, with gentleness, inquisitiveness, clarity, just being here, really being somewhere, fully, wholeheartedly, bringing all of you into this very precious present moment experience. So just spend a few minutes just noticing that and adjusting and making yourself comfortable but alert. The posture of meditation has two qualities. There's a sense of incredible strength and rootedness, which is embodied in the spinal system. It holds us up, our skeleton, our bones. There's a sense of strength and dignity and uprightness, kind of a positive pride in being a human embodiment. At the same time, there's a softness in your belly, soft front, strong back. So there's a quality of vulnerability, openness, receptivity, joined, come on in, joined with a quality of strength. Usually, or often, we see those as in conflict, but in the practice of meditation, they are together. Strength and vulnerability. The posture has a quality of stillness. What does it feel like to be still, to be grounded, to be settled, to be inhabiting your body fully, from top to bottom, throughout? Notice the sense perceptions and any tension in the senses. Often the senses have a grabby quality. What we hear, what we sense physically, touch sensations, smells, sights. We're not trying to close off the sense perceptions and not trying to hang on to any sense perceptions, but let them flow back and forth like a gentle breeze. Now place your attention on the breath, the cycle of the breathing. And in the form of practice that I prefer, you're not trying to alter the breathing, not trying to breathe in a particular way as in pranayama or those kind of things, but however you're breathing, it may be slow or fast or deep or shallow, not manipulating at all, just simply noticing the breath. The breath is a very powerful link between body, emotions, and mind. When we relax, we go, ah. And when we're uptight, the breath carries a lot of information. Every cycle of the breath is like a life cycle. Something comes into existence, lasts for a while, and is let go. It's a full life cycle of birth, life, death. Every single breath has a quality of becoming and releasing. We begin our life with an in-breath and we leave with an out-breath. Notice the feeling of the breath, the feeling of the breath coming in, the feeling of the breath leaving, dissolving. Place your attention lightly and gently on the breath, and particularly pay attention to the out-breath. Let the breath go out and dissolve to space around you. With each out-breath, try to ride on that breath with your attention, with your awareness. Identify with the breath, be the breath, let it go out and let it dissolve. And there's a subtle gap. Notice whatever is going on in your mind, your emotions, and simply note that. Return to the breath. If you feel distracted, if you feel pulled away or fantasizing or restless or drowsy, simply note that and return to the breath. There's no judgment, no trying to fix anything. That moment of return, when you lose your mind, come back. That moment is the precious moment in the practice. That moment, touch of returning could happen many, many times in even one session of sitting practice, and that's fine. Each time you return, your attention is like a fresh start. Very important. You're not struggling with the mind, not trying to corral the mind, not trying to beat it up or defeat it, simply trying to understand it, notice it, and return to the very, very simple but deep and profound experience of being present, self-sufficient, accepting, and open to what is arising moment to moment. Meditation is a way of coming face to face with who you are, apart from all the roles and responsibilities, and dramas, cares and concerns, busyness of life. When you get right down to it, just sitting simply, observing in a scientific, detached way your own, very own self. You are the scientist and you're the what's being observed, both. Who are you, really, underneath all that, in your heart of hearts, in your core? In meditation, there's nothing to prove and nothing to hide. There's no judging, no agenda, other than the very, very simplest agenda of paying attention. Trungpa Rinpoche said that when you practice, you should not try too hard. He said you should apply about 20% effort. So it's not an aggressive situation. Not like being marine meditators. There's always a light touch and a freshness and a little bit of humor and simplicity. Simple, simple, simple. Slow, easy, upright, pared down experience. in meditation, you're not trying to hold on to or cultivate some kind of special experience or construct an experience. Trying to be with what is really happening, what is a real experience. Not your ideas of what should be happening, but what is happening. Not your ideas of how you should be, but how you actually are. The wisdom of meditation cannot be imported, cannot be constructed, it can be discovered. It already exists within you. So in some ways, meditation practice is just trying to create a doorway or an opening or a possibility for that inner kind of light to shine through. I'm going to switch over here so I can see you better. So welcome once again. Some of you, are you here for the first time or have you come before? One and a half. Cool. And how, you two, you came together? Yeah. Okay. So as I mentioned, this is my first time coming to this little group. And I thought I should say something about who I am. And then I had some thoughts of things to say, but I might change all that. I'm not so sure. I'm Judy Lief, and I study within the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. I'm a student of Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche. And like all of you, there was a time I never meditated, and I sat down for the first time, and it's a really interesting experience, that fresh new mind, or you don't know what to expect, and probably have a lot of ideas what should happen, and then doesn't happen. So then that makes it when it really starts to get interesting. But I feel so lucky to have studied for many years with a Tibetan teacher, Chögyam Trungpa Rinpoche, who's pretty much taught me what I know about meditation practice, introduced me to this whole rich world. And it seems to me that a lot of practice is not creating anything new, but letting drop a lot of what's old and stale, so that something fresh has a chance to kind of peek out a little bit. And I find so often that just the simple fact of sitting still with yourself, so much is revealed about habitual patterns that run so deeply, such as wanting to make something happen. It seems we're always pushing to make something happen. We always have some idea, and then we kind of shove ourselves into the form that fits the idea we think we're supposed to have, which is a lot of struggle and stress. And I think we have a lot of fear about, well, if we're not trying to make something happen, if we're not trying to be somebody, then a lot of self-doubt arises, like what's our value, you know, what's my worth, you know, who am I under all of that? If I stop, it's scary what I might see, you know, if I stop racing around, what will actually kind of bubble up from deep within me. And that there is that quality of sitting practice that when we sit still and we relax a little bit and we reduce at least a tiny bit all of our self-judgment and notions about things, whatever is there does start to come up. So sometimes meditation is described often as, at a fundamental level, making friends with yourself. Making friends with yourself. How much of a friend are you to yourself? How much do you have to divide off within you that's a taboo territory and what's allowed territory for you to see within you? You know, can you bring in the whole of experience and integrate it somehow? And how to go about that? And the funny thing is, according to the practice tradition, the way to go about that is not trying to go about that, not trying to do so much all the time. At least pretending not to try. I mean, we're always trying to do something, but begin to have some humor about that, like what are you trying to do? Who are you trying to please? What is the point of that all? You know, what's the point of being here, alive, right now, you know? So usually, you know, the meditation is talked about in two sides. You've probably heard about already. One side is simply just chilling, calming down a little bit, and slowing down. We're very fast. We live in a very fast world, and we hardly have a minute to stop and think. We find ourselves, at least I find it's very easy to start a lot of things and then you're stuck. You have to keep doing them, and then you forget why you're doing them altogether. You know, why am I doing this? But because I'm doing it. But wait, the sense of just stepping back, if nothing else, just stopping. Stop, full stop, okay. Reset, what's really important? Can I settle my mind? Can I calm my mind? Can I relax my mind? Can I be a little less judgmental about myself and everyone else? Can I actually see the arc and patterns of my thoughts more clearly? So this is described in a lot of ways as monkey mind, and how we feed the speed of our mind to so much it becomes a habit based on fear. We're afraid to look at ourselves. We're afraid to stop a lot of times. And that's the first side of practice, just learning to be still and slow. Unless we slow down, we won't be able to kind of change the way we respond to the things that trigger us, because that would be gone before we notice it's even happening. This quality of slowing down so we see little sparks before they become explosions and forest fires. So slowing down. So that's one side. And often that's the only side talked about. It's just like people think, well, meditation is just like, I don't know, taking a tranquilizer or something, just sort of chill and all that. And that's very, just one side of the coin. Really, that notion of settling the mind is preparation for the real work of meditation practice, which is clarifying and brightening the mind, seeing clearly and having a broader mental horizons, more openness of mind, more sharpness of mind, more clarity and lightness of mind. because there's a quality as often in life that's very clunky and a heavy-handed approach that we take to things. And sometimes people get inspired to practice in a very earnest and heavy-handed way. Now I'm going to improve myself. I'm going to practice meditation and be religious and, special. I'm going to have special experiences and being a special person. But actually, that's all BS. The idea is actually be less and less special, less and less heavy. It's almost like emotional mental ecology, having a what they call light footprint. Light footprint, like a building has a light footprint. You could have a light mental emotional footprint and get in a lot less trouble just by that. So that's another aspect. So these are called shamatha, which is calming the mind, learning to rest and relax. Vipassana is the other side, means clear seeing, seeing more clearly. What makes us not see clearly? Well, emotional entanglements, fixed views, opinions, and general confusion, right? So seeing clearly isn't having the right answers, it's not that kind of thing, but it's seeing at the pre-answer level, remaining in a question of which is always alert and always clear. There's a famous line from Suzuki Roshi that talked about this quality of clarity, where he said that in the expert's mind, the possibilities are few. In the beginner's mind, the possibilities are endless. And that's really interesting, because we're all experts, we think, in ourselves. We think we're experts about ourselves. So we close down and we freeze our experience of ourselves and our world and of all the people we deal with. We come up with some description or some kind of opinion, and then that's it. We just stop. We don't see anything beyond our opinion, our already decided views, our is it called projections? Projections of how things are, and we get trapped within narrower and narrower realms of experience. So meditation is kind of opening out beyond that. Can we stretch a little bit beyond, our assumptions? Many, many, many assumptions. What's going on? Yeah. So I actually will talk a little bit about what I was going to talk about. I even brought a list, because Buddhism really loves lists. And so I thought I'd just introduce some things that might be helpful in looking at your practice. And these are called axes of balance. So one thing about meditation practice is there's no good guys and bad guys, there's no success and failures, but there is balance. It's like high and low are not in conflict, but we need to be in balance, in balance physically and emotionally and mentally. So this is just a different way of looking at some of those dimensions or vectors or axes of balance that are being worked with through sitting practice. The first one is that there's a balance between tranquility and anxiety. Tranquility and anxiety. You say, okay, so what's the balance point? It's not that you're supposed to be totally tranquil or totally anxious, obviously. The out of balance quality of tranquility could become very sluggish and kind of disconnected or almost nihilistic, no engagement. And obviously the extreme of anxiety could be restless. In terms of sitting practice, you fall asleep or you're fidgety. Sometimes there's one and sometimes the other. It seems like some people are more prone to one way, some are prone to the other. But in classic meditation instruction, going back thousands of years, meditators have always struggled between the dullness and the anxiousness. So if that happens to you, don't feel bad, because it's happened for thousands of years. So there's a sense of some kind of balance there. where there's a relaxed, but there's also kind of that kind of little sharp edges that the anxiety points to, you know. So one axis of balance. There's also another way of way of looking at balance is talked about in terms of agility and heaviness. How agile how are you as a person? Agile in mental and emotional ways. Does when a thought comes, when an emotion comes, does it just sit there like a blob, or is there kind of movement there? Can you adjust when a situation changes? Does your mind, emotions adjust to it, or are they stuck behind what happened yesterday, what happened 10 years ago, what happened 15? Is your mind still there? Is it agile? Is it moving? Is it adjusting? And is it kind of sluggish or more quick? So agile and heavier and lighter mind. We can actually feel the qualities of heaviness or lightness of being, of emotions and thoughts, where everything is not necessarily taken totally seriously, but they're not frivolous either. So there's a midpoint. So it's always this middle way, this midpoint of balance that we can work with, as noticing qualities of our mind. And this axis is very connected with qualities of inflexibility and pliancy. Do you know people, you might or have experiences when your mind just won't move? It is one opinion, you've decided, story over, done. I've decided this is the way it's going to be, period. You know, totally inflexible. This is the way we do things. This is the right way to do things. If everyone would just listen to me, they would do the right way that I know. Of totally opinionated, conceited kind of mind. You know, how stuck is that? On the other hand, this quality of pliancy could be having no backbone at all, and you know, I don't know how things are going, and you know, whatever you say, and that kind of willy-wally, wishy-washy kind of thing. So you can see those qualities in life, but also in any session of sitting practice, we see those two qualities. We see all sorts of little dramas going on. Should I move? My leg hurts, maybe I should move, but someone will notice I moved, that I'm not doing a good job. They didn't move. Oh, now they moved, now I can move too. Or, you know, now I've got it, I think I've got it, and I'm going to hold on to it, I finally got it, and then goes away. Or just sort of, I'm just going to go through the motions and just kind of space out, and nobody can tell, I'm just sitting, nobody knows what I'm really doing. So there's those two extremes that, you know, that are always at play. And then there's another one that's really important. And then I think I'll have some time, I'd like to have just open dialogue and see what you guys are thinking about. Well, two more really important, I'm not doing all of them. And this is the quality of, not talked about as much, I think, in meditation instruction as maybe it should be. And this is the poles of confidence and self-doubt. Confidence and self-doubt. That when we practice, we have moments when we feel really charged up and secure in a certain way. But there are also many moments of incredible self-doubt. Whether I, you know, am I capable of doing this, or maybe I'm just not the meditative sort, you know, or deeper levels of uncertainty and feeling that we're not that good at it. A lot of times, people feel like that way for like years on end. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm doing something wrong, and so the self-doubt can really come up as a kind of an interesting thing to notice with your vipassana, your clear seeing. On the other hand, there could be overemphasis on proficiency and feeling that doing it right and getting too much caught up in being right all the time and not facing one's vulnerability or one's own doubts. So there's kind of a balance there that if you're doing it, you're capable of doing it. If you sit there, no matter what's going on, you're capable of doing it. You're no way to fail. And you should take some pride in that, but don't get carried away. So there are those two extremes again. One of the self-doubt things that I really like that one time Trungpa Rinpoche said that you all have the perfect qualifications to be good meditators. You have restless bodies, you have wandering minds, and your emotions are totally out of control. Those are the three qualifications. You're perfectly fit for this task. And finally, there's a quality of the axis of genuineness and phoniness, sincerity and insincerity, uprightness and lack of uprightness. There's a quality of almost more important than any other thing, without all the technical things and how many breaths you follow or how many hours you sit, is the kind of heart, the wholehearted, genuine commitment, quality of sincerity, that it's not based on trying to gain a credential or trying to please someone or trying to prove anything. There's a sense of genuine interest. That it's said that even a short meditation that's done wholeheartedly is more valuable than years of practice that's done in lukewarm kind of ho-hum way, kind of phony, safe way. With genuine practice, you actually put yourself out there. You're willing to actually look at your experience. You're willing actually to sit still with what arises. And your life as it is, and everybody's life's pretty difficult a lot of times, I find. My life is. And so you bring that all into the practice. You don't bring your saint version, Saint Judy is not practicing. It's actually regular old Judy is practicing with whatever is in her experience of the moment, the drama of the day. It's all part of it, it's with that. You don't try to go somewhere else, go some kind of heavenly realm where you can practice and not be bothered. In some ways, the bother makes the practice better, oddly enough. So being genuine, not pretending to be other than you are in any way, not holding on to credentials or some kind of special realization, not holding on to anything. Sit with whatever there is. Stay with it. Stay with your life. Stay with your experience. Stay with who you are. And then look within. That's what meditation is about, for one aspect anyway.